Hi Sagittarius, this is your forecast for the month of December 2018. This is a general reading for Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Rising, or Sagittarius Moon. For a more rounded overview, please watch your rising and moon sign as well. So Sagittarius, you're starting the first week of December off with the Magician. And for some of you, this means a strong tie to a Gemini person. But for others of you, this may be an important male figure in your life. It could be a son, a brother, boyfriend, husband, somebody who has some special knowledge. And this could also be a week where you are focusing your energy toward achieving a goal. You want to manifest something that you have visualized. And so this is a week where you may be using new skills or gaining new skills. It's about your ability to make a decision, to make something happen, and having the confidence and the determination and the power to do so. And the Magician says that you have all of the resources that you need to make something happen. For some of you, again, this is a person who has some special skill or knowledge, or somebody who works with tools, who creates, who puts something into physical form. So it could be somebody tied to technology, or somebody who is artistic, or someone self-employed. Some of you are going to be encountering some opportunities, and it's going to be important for you to market yourself or solve some kind of problem. And your communication skills will be very important. Your ability to invent, to take something out of, your thoughts and create it in the physical world. So this is a week where your determination to help yourself could pay off, especially if you use your focus constructively to create some kind of goal. And this is a week where you're very sure of yourself, perhaps. And because of that, others are taking notice. You may get some recognition, or you may be rewarded in some way for putting forth that effort, putting in the extra time, taking the initiative, starting something, or offering your services. Now, negatively, for some of you, you are dealing with people who are manipulative, or you're taking on those traits. This is about manipulating appearances in order to gain some kind of power. So this is somebody that is acting selfishly and perhaps manipulating others. So someone in your life may not be what they appear to be. They're posing. It's an imposter, a trickster in some way. Or somebody who thinks they have talent or skill or knowledge that's not necessarily so. So this is somebody who has self-proclaimed that they are the authority on something. And they're giving themselves more credit than they actually deserve. In the worst case scenario, you could be dealing with a liar or an opportunist of some sort. But if this is you, maybe there's something going on with your creativity and you're not able to come up with ideas. It's blocked in some way. Or perhaps you feel weak in an area of your life where you haven't been able to make something move forward. It could be you've been wasting your energy or your resources, or the goal was just unrealistic from the start. Perhaps you were, too confident, overly so. For others of you, maybe you're dealing with some kind of technology failure. In this first week of December, we are still in Mercury retrograde. So maybe you're having a problem with your computer, or some kind of situation where, you're lacking the knowledge, or somebody's lacking expertise and they're abusing their talents, perhaps. This could also be, this Magician ties to your virility, your sexual confidence, and maybe there's some inhibitions or some impotence in some way. It could be that somebody's just avoiding a problem or failing to make a decision because there's a lack of confidence. So this is a week where you're learning more about depending on you. You are what makes something happen. You create your own success. And for some of you, the closer you get to that success, maybe you feel like it's going to poof and disappear. Negatively, you want to make something happen yesterday, and because of that, you start getting impatient, your temper shows up, and you start working against yourself. You undercut your progress because you were only looking out for you, and you were disregarding other people, their opinions, their advice, or their assistance. Or perhaps you're dealing with someone like that. And this may tie to your partnerships, to agreements. For some of you, this may be legal situations. Could be, enemies that now come out into the open, or people who are, you're working with who are agents. They're representative of you, a doctor. It could be an actual agent of some sort, or a lawyer, or, somebody who represents your interests. So the first week is important because it's a major card. It's the first week. There's added emphasis because this is week number 1 and this is card number 1. Now, the second week you have another major card. So the first half of December is going to be important. And for some of you, there's a connection to perhaps a maternal figure or a Taurus person or a woman of importance in your life. This could be somebody that's helpful to you, who is nurturing to you. She may hold some kind of authority or power or land, or she could just be your ideal person, the woman of your dreams. This is also a week that focuses on healing. So for some of you, there's been a connection, perhaps again, to somebody who has some kind of expertise, a doctor, a medical technician, and there's a focus on healing. For others of you, this is something very creative, the ability to create, to produce, the ability to communicate. Some of you, you made a decision. You're going to take some kind of productive action to set some wheels in motion. And there's luck and opportunity. Both of these two cards, are connected to luck and opportunity, but initiating that, creating that. And the Empress says that if you are applying yourself in a practical manner, you're likely to see some kind of results. So there could be some continued growth. Now, for some of you, this may be the ability to create something of beauty, a beautiful home, a beautiful meal, a garden, a piece of art. You may be focused on your own physical look or your social standing and well-being, entertaining, hosting others. So you could be sharing your prosperity in some way. There could be a focus on abundance and the sensual side of life, or physical love and affection, sexuality. Or some of you, the ability to get pregnant, perhaps. Maybe you're trying to focus on having a child. So this is a week where the maternal instincts kick in. Whether you are a parent or not, you may be focused on helping other people, caring for others, nurturing others, or receiving that. If this is a creative endeavor, you could be focused on getting some success for your hard work. And again, if you're doing your best, you're likely to be close to that finish line, if not crossing over, because this is also about giving birth to something, and that takes time. You have to put in the effort, you have to nurture it, you have to grow it. But you are probably feeling this sense of happiness and well-being if you're confident, if you feel good about yourself. If the magician is playing out for you positively, you're going to generate positive events to occur. But for others of you, if there's a lack of confidence, you may find yourself in a self-defeating situation, or where other people exploit you or take advantage of your kindness and your generosity. You can also hurt yourself, again, by being too self-indulgent. This excessive seeking out for number one in whatever capacity. You're going to extremes. You're going too far. You're pushing too hard, moving too fast. And likely in some area of life where you get some kind of payoff. Food, alcohol, sexuality, gambling, substance abuse. So something may be taken to an extreme, or it could be this lackadaisical attitude that, you're all that and it should just come to me. I shouldn't have to work for it. Do you see me? Do you know who I am? So for some of you, this is about, being realistic, being practical, trying to set up the conditions to manifest, to grow something, to bring something to you. And for some of you, you're going to have to be extremely diplomatic and come up with a strategy that works so that you can advance. This may be something small. Rome wasn't built in a day. So you may be building brick by brick in order to create something. And for some of you, it's going to mean stepping back just a moment so that if you were feeling slightly shaky, you can get your bearings and regain your confidence and go at something that perhaps you were ready to give up on or abandon in some way. So remember that this is about, seeking that sense of happiness, that well-being, but not going too far and knowing when you need to open that door for opportunity. For some of you, this is going to, involve some kind of spiritual awakening. For others of you, this is about indulging yourself in a way that's positive, getting in touch with nature, doing something for humanity, or if you've been excessive in some area of your life, seeking more balance and getting grounded. Now, the third week, you have the Five of Wands. And so you may be struggling with something. Perhaps you're struggling to communicate, struggling for success, struggling to be happy, to find pleasure, or you're connecting with somebody who has some expertise and maybe you're going to solve some kind of problem. This could be a week where, you're getting into these little ego battles with people, or everybody's trying to put their 2 cents in, or, you're dealing with some competition, or again, that open enemy, that opponent has come out and you recognize them for who they are. So this is a week where there could be some kind of contention. And maybe communication is a part of that. Maybe somebody's being underhanded or malicious, or again, some kind of secret negative behavior is now coming out in the open in order to be addressed. So this week, you may not feel the sense of ease you were looking for. It could be some disruption in your life. You may feel like you have to defend yourself against others because you're being challenged, or you're going to have to beat out the competition. So you're dealing with the week, this third week, of hassles, of conflict and power struggles, and in some cases, perhaps some legal problems. And this may be tied to your ambitions in some way. This is a week where what you desire is pushing forth the events. And there could be something unexpected, either at work or at home or both, where now you've stepped back. Maybe your confidence has been rocked, and you're starting to question yourself, the people around you, your friends, your connections, your work, your goals, your belief system. You're wondering whether people are sincere, whether they have your best interests at heart. Now, for some of you, you're going to be diplomatic. You're going to come up with that strategy. You're going to step up to the plate. And you're going to go above and beyond. You're going to behave honorably. You're going to take the high road, or you're going to take on more responsibility, whether that's in a relationship or a project, even though that may not have been your original intention. And for some of you, you're very aware of the distinct boundaries between you and others, and you're not going to want to push any buttons. You're not going to want to overstep or upset. You're playing things gently. You're trying to use that strategy. But for others of you, you may overstep your boundaries, and maybe there's some kind of abuse taking place, or maybe something comes out in the open and you feel some relief after that conflict. And again, this is about manifesting something, putting your personal power to good use, focusing your will, or getting outside of your own ego, outside of yourself, or somebody who's behaving that way. Now, the fourth week, you have this fresh start. You're raring to go. But maybe in some cases, you're struggling to make that fresh start. You want to manifest something that makes you happy. And, this is a week of passionate energy that has to be acted on. It's fire energy, and fire has to be tended to and stoked. Now, for some of you, there's a connection to somebody. You feel powerfully attracted. There's some charisma, some magnetism between you and another person. Something is likely to have occurred that really, again, made you think about some things. And whatever came out into the open has made you make a change. The way you relate, the way you socialize. And depending on whether it was positive or negative, you are becoming more or less available to others. Now, for some of you, you're making this fresh start. There's been some kind of boost in your security. Maybe you got, some kind of money or an opportunity that made you feel like, hey, I'm back in the game again. And you want to connect to other people. And whatever this boost is, this boost of confidence, allows you to begin working on your relationship. But for others of you, your relationship may be at risk. There could be some outside forces or other people's problems that are weighing in and creating some havoc in your connections. So for some of you, you may do something very impulsively, very surprising. Now, on the one hand, maybe you strike up a connection that doesn't really stand a chance. It's not built on anything solid. Maybe it's problematic, but you attempt to make it happen. And you know that ultimately it's doomed to fail. Or perhaps you are very close to somebody and there's been some kind of conflict between you. Somebody's ego has come up. And now you suddenly end this relationship, and it ends in a whirl. It takes you by surprise. It takes the other person by surprise. That wasn't the plan, but that's where you are, because you may be seeking a fresh start by gaining more freedom, because you're starting to feel perhaps that you can make your own happiness. And maybe that means breaking out of a routine. That could mean doing something different, or it could be letting something go, moving on. You're having some understanding, some aha moments that give you some clarity. And by the end of this month, you may realize, hey, you're better off than you thought you were because of some kind of boost that has given you confidence. Or maybe you have to go it alone and you're better prepared to do that than you first considered. So again, this is about taking some productive action, trying to find some productive answers, and your relationships are going to evolve as a result of that. For some of you, you're connecting with people who can perhaps clue you in on something creatively, give you some kind of insight, some kind of meeting where you gain some understanding about something you're working on, or perhaps you're meeting some new friends. But for others of you, things are going to fall short. There's some unfulfilled expectations, some disappointment, could be a loss of passion in the relationship. Somebody, maybe something didn't get going, or it started off with a bang, but then it ended with a bang as well. So there could be something where some hopes are not realized, and you may feel powerless or pessimistic about that. Now, the underlying energy is this Two of Swords. There's a dilemma that has to be faced, some kind of decision. And there's difficulty in making this decision. It could be that somebody's been, suppressing their important emotions, or maybe you're at war with somebody. Maybe you made a decision and you don't know how that's going to turn out. But this is a month where you're ready to go, you want something to happen, you want something to manifest, and yet there may be a delay. You could be in some tense situations with people where you're at odds, you're at a struggle, or maybe you decide, you're going to pull out the white flag and call a truce. But there's some difficult decision in front of you that may be tied to an agreement or a settlement, or waiting to see what happens, waiting for that tide to change. And you're trying to see what the truth is of something. And in the process, maybe you're not showing everything. You're wearing a game face, or you're hiding yourself, or you're seeking the truth about something and trying to figure it out. Now, in some cases, perhaps there was the wrong decision made, or maybe you're, at odds with somebody where there's some divided loyalty. Maybe there's a third party that is instigating conflict. That could be you or someone you're connected to. So you could be dealing with a situation where you have to face your feelings, or you have to deal with an outcome and you're not sure how it's going to go. How determined you are to make something happen could either be working for you or working against you. Your willpower is either an asset or there is no willpower, and you're following the path of least resistance, not doing what you should, knowing that you're going to regret it. So this is going to be a month where perhaps you could be waiting it out. You don't have enough information. You don't really know how you feel. Your intuition is saying, hey, just hold tight for a minute. And maybe that's going to help you, or maybe it's going to hurt you. It's likely that at some point, if things aren't moving in the direction or as quickly as you need them to, it may be difficult for you to control how you behave. And then you may take the magician and become impulsive. Maybe you say the wrong thing, or you do the wrong thing, or there's something that you want. You want to manifest something. You want to save a relationship, save a project, or promote yourself in some way, or your own self-interest. And because of your attitude, or because of the way you're acting, or the things that you say, the thing that was so important to you slips through the cracks. And maybe it's driven by this sense of self-preservation. You got to protect yourself. You got to defend yourself. You got to get the last word in. Or maybe you got to promote your own interests and get ahead. So motive is going to be important. And again, your determination and your willpower. Your confidence is also key here, because you could have some anxieties or some fears that are not founded that come up. You don't know why, but all of a sudden you have some deep anxiety about something. And this is going to be a challenging month with some change taking place. For some of you, you may be, again, making some decisions that affect you personally, going over some things. And it could be that you're at the end of a cycle. Maybe you're dealing with some kind of pressing legal issue. Maybe you're required to tie up some loose ends. For some of you, this may mean a divorce. It could be a literal divorce, or maybe you're separating from a partnership. You're going your separate ways. This is also a cyclic issue. Whatever this is, you probably have been here before. And so this is something that you're having to give further thought to. However, you are opening up, you're broadening your horizons, but in a more realistic manner. You're being more practical. And there are going to be some changes that occur, but those changes come about through smaller series of events that change the way you look at life, your perspective, your understanding, some overdue change. However, there is not a lot of sensitivity in this reading. Somebody is devoid of emotion. There could be a lack of sensitivity. Or it could be you're in a situation where you have to put emotion aside and use logic. You have these two major cards, the Magician and the Empress. Your ability to create, to manifest, to communicate, to feel happy, to feel success. And you're doing a review. There's some perhaps opportunity either to drive your point home, to clear your name, your reputation, your beliefs. Could be to travel, could be a job offer, could be you're looking at your money. It seems that though somebody's being bullied or pressured into making decisions that they don't necessarily want to make. In spite of all of this pressure, somebody is trying to hold firm to their beliefs, and yet it's costing them in some way emotionally. It could be somebody is deciding to stay with an abusive partner, or it could be somebody is putting in a lot of effort trying to meet this bar, a standard, or pass a test, and then when they cross the finish line, they feel like, well, that really didn't pay off. That was worthless. I didn't really get anything out of that. So your understanding, your willingness to expand your horizons is going to be important again, and you're going to get some assistance in tying up some loose ends. So you can expect some forward movement because you're putting a solid foundation to take some action. And there's a strong move toward furthering your goals, specifically because you're being more practical. Your realism might ensure your long-term success. And your challenge number is going to be number 2. And by challenge, I mean you're going to be focused more on the issues related to number 2. You're going to be busier, more active. Your resolutions are going to take more time, and it's going to be more significant to your future. So issues related to opposition, to duality, to choices, to decisions, to division, to flux, to change is going to be important. And again, this tying up loose ends, changing your perspective, looking at people and your attachment to situations, to outcomes, and gathering information and seeing if everything adds up in the end. All right, Sagittarius, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Let me know with your comments, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon, join me on my blog for daily posts, on Instagram, and over at Vimeo. And of course, you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.